How you doing, Bob? Good to see you. And all right, Bob, do you want to get started just with a quick opening statement, and then we'll start taking some questions?
Okay, hope everybody's doing all right. Still, as we've said many times, different times, and I know that everybody's lives are challenged in different ways, so stay safe. The team season has been start, stop, but we're excited to get going again with games. Would have been good prediction to think that we would start playing the Galaxy, but that's something that everybody always appreciates and enjoys. It's going to be fantastic to be back in the Banc of California Stadium. Even without the fans, it's special for us every time we get to play in the stadium. And it's easy for us to know that our supporters are there with us and are really excited for this game, just like the players.
All right, great. Thanks. Dylan, go ahead and ask a question on me, please.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
Good, Dylan.
Obviously, just even between years 1 and 2 for you guys, we just saw how much of a difference like one season together made for you guys. And I'm just kind of wondering again with this whole stop and stop thing, where is your team in terms of kind of that cohesiveness that you'd like to build in terms of actually like on the field spacing, timing, stuff like that?
I think we're in a really good way. It seems so long ago that we played such a good game against Lyon at home, pushed the game, didn't give up many chances. I think we went to Orlando, and even without playing for so many months, and even in those conditions, we pushed the tempo of every game. We created a lot of chances. And in the process, there's just different situations, moments on the field, reactions that we need to continue to improve upon. We're not a team that typically gives up a lot of chances. Opponents have a hard time getting into our box a lot of times. But still, we have to do better in terms of now the defensive record. We need more shutouts. And a lot of that comes down to, in different situations, just the first reaction, the player who's closest to the ball doing a better job, and then everybody else being ready for the next part of the play.
All right, great. Thank you. Katya, please go ahead and unmute and ask a question.
Thank you, Seth. Hi, Bob. I want to know how's Carlos physically and compared to his other teammates that were in competition mode in Orlando, and how is he doing, like getting back into that rhythm?
Carlos is doing great. He gets so much credit for how he worked very hard while we were away. He obviously always wants to be with the team, and you could tell from the first day back in training when he rejoined the group how much it meant to him, and I know he is really motivated for this game.
Thank you. We've got Vince here. Vince, please go ahead, unmute and ask a question.
Hey, Bob.
Vince!
Bob, how are you?
I wish you were here with me.
Same as always. Bob, quick question for you. I was just curious, one of the hallmarks of world football rivalries is obviously the supporters, the differing in ideologies, but also kind of the play on the pitch. Do you see now kind of the two teams settling into the way they're approaching the game and the way the games are playing out to having really kind of diverging stylistic play on the pitch?
For me, I can only really comment on our way of playing. And I think that we've tried to continue to evolve as a team. The way we try to be a transition team and be able to go forward quickly, and yet in other moments be able to control games and connect passes. We're always trying to find this balance. And so that's a lot of how we try to work, and what that means in different moments in terms of positioning of players, particularly the way our front three at times can be more narrow, and we can use our outside backs to give us width, and in other moments still knowing that when our wide attackers back up, it creates other opportunities. So that's a big part of our focus. The game that we played with the Galaxy in Orlando, at the beginning of the game, they were very organized. They did a good job. And of course, they took the lead where they stepped up on us in the midfield to try to create some transition and turnovers. So that's something that we always need to be aware of, that teams are looking to get tight to our midfielders, sometimes play man-to-man to disrupt the game, but also to try to create some opportunities in transition. So that's something that we think about for most opponents, but for sure we think about that when we play the Galaxy.
All right. Thank you. We've got next John Rojas. Please go ahead and unmute and ask a question.
Thanks, Seth. Bob, can you hear me?
John, I can always hear you. No matter where you are, I can hear you.
Thank you. Hope everything is well down there. Bob, with this beginning and stop, what is the most difficult thing as a group? The mental part, the physical part, the tactical part, the decisions of, the players in terms of their personal lives. What is the element that it makes more hard to manage these days?
It's probably all of the above, John. Certainly for everyone, trying to encourage people during a difficult period to feel good about the chance we have every day to train and now get back to games, make sure families are safe and sound, to make sure that when life is not normal, that people still feel good about what's going on, that there's reminders about being disciplined and responsible. So that's always there, not only inside the team, but with family and friends for sure. In terms of playing, when you don't play regular matches, just that cohesiveness, that sharpness, that's hard to maintain. So we don't change our ideas. We just, every time we stop for a few days or longer, we get back to the work, the reminders, and we try to make sure that we can keep trying to improve in all areas.
All right, great, thank you. Next up, we've got Kevin Baxter. Kevin, please unmute and ask your question.
Okay, hey Bob, how are you?
Good, Kevin.
Thank you for doing this. The atmosphere in Orlando was really strange, and now you're going into your building, which is a big building, and there'll be no fans there for the first time ever. That's going to be strange, but I know that there are some things planned for you audio-wise, that they're going to try to recreate the sound of the 30-52 and the fans. How do you think that, what are your feelings about that? Do you think it's still going to be really strange? Do you think that's going to help, just having the sound?
Whenever you look into the stands and you don't see the supporters, then it's strange. And so that comes first. The rest, in terms of sound, we haven't experienced it yet. So it's a hard question to answer, whether or not that type of crowd noise is better or how that works. So give us a couple of games and we could probably give you a better answer.
All right, thank you. Next, we got Giovanni Garcia. Giovanni, please unmute and ask your question.
Where's Gio?
Gio, you there? Okay, we're going to move on. Gio, Tom Bogert, next up. Tom, go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Hey, Bob, thanks for doing this. So you talked a little bit about the last match against the Galaxy in Orlando. I guess, what differences are you expecting for this game, particularly with, I don't know if it's been ruled one way or another yet, but Chicharito and Jonah might be able to play. So I guess just what differences are you expecting out of this game from one in Orlando?
Everyone knows they're a very different team if you get Chicharito and Jonah back on the field. So I think we have good games. We have a lot of respect for their team, and we know that they'll prepare to try to stop us from playing in different ways. And Chicharito is still a forward whose ability around the goal to find space and react quickly to create a chance for himself. So the concentration in all moments has to be at a high level because he's a striker who lives off of the moments where he can react faster than everybody else.
All right, thank you. Just a few more here. We've got Mr. Dweezy. Please unmute your question. Unmute and go ahead and ask your question.
How's it going, Bob? It's Alex.
What's up, Alex?
How are you living?
I'm okay, man.
Hey, I know that all three of your homegrown players have now been with the squad for, over a month. Christian was the only one that went down to Orlando. But now that you've had Tony, Christian, and Eric with the squad for a while, one, how are they getting on? And two, are we going to see any of them in the 18 for this match?
I think it's a 20 for this game, not an 18.
Yeah, 20.
In terms of their development, they're being challenged every day. When things go faster, and certainly the level of training is higher than it was during preseason when they were with us. So readjusting, picking up little things. Great to have them with us. No clear decision yet on the 20, but they need time. They need to keep going in training. We're excited, but we've got to balance that with patience so that when they're ready, they get their chance, but we're not so eager to throw them in when it's not quite the time.
All right, thanks. We're just going to take two more questions here. Let's go to Andy DeRosa. Andy, if you can unmute and ask your question.
Hey, Bob, how's it going?
Good, Andy.
I was just curious, obviously, with the transition from the tournament back to LA and just getting players up fitness level, and you have already mentioned Carlos, are you expecting to kind of roll out with the same squad you were using down in Orlando, or is there any players that perhaps you're not counting on to play on against the Galaxy?
No, the group from Orlando came back in a good way. We had a few days off, and then we've continued training, and then we've integrated Eric and Tony and Carlos. And so that all makes training better. I think we've seen some guys that were injured get back to where they're in more regular training. An example would be Adrian Perez. So we feel that we've got a lot of guys that are ready to step on the field.
All right, and last question here for Bob. Jose Rodriguez. Jose, can you please unmute and ask your question?
Sure. Thank you. Bob, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the rhythm of play after, quite a few games in Orlando. How long until you get back into things and do you feel comfortable enough that your team is ready in terms of rhythm? And the second question, how is Andy Najar doing after, being able to get back on the field in Orlando? How is he holding up? Thanks.
Now I'm going to speak first about Andy. Again, he's a player that, as everyone knows, was out pretty much a full year. And so he continues to make progress. But there have been some minor setbacks where he'll go a few days and then reach for a ball and feel a little something, and that'll keep him out of training for a few days. So we must be patient. Whenever a player is out for a full year with a major surgery, this is normal. I've said it many times. I think he fits in really well. He's an excellent guy, but he's not quite ready yet to give us. He's not ready, for example, to start a game. So we have to just try to find ways to move him along. The team as a whole, in terms of rhythm, the season has gone in these stretches. So we had 5 games in a relatively short amount of time while we were in Orlando. And I think we handled them really well. It caught up with us a little bit in the match against Orlando City. When we finished group play, we had 3 full days before Seattle. that was a quick turnaround. And then after that win, then we had only 3 full days again before Orlando. And so I said that I didn't think that we were at our best in that game, but nonetheless, we had the opportunity to close the game out late with another goal or finish with a shutout and a late set piece goal. And then we end up losing in penalties. And it's something that we were very disappointed about. But we've continued since we returned to Los Angeles to work in our usual way. And now we've got a very busy stretch. I think the first 5 games come in 14 days, I think. And then I think altogether it's 6 games in 21 days. So that's busy, and it makes it that much more important that some of the different players have moved along and are ready to provide depth and give us some minutes. It's going to be necessary in this stretch that some of these guys are ready to start matches, because you can't start the same team every game when you have that type of very busy schedule.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. We appreciate it.